I want to wrap the basketball conversation here because we started off by kind of teasing Selection Sunday fallout and kind of where we were going from here. Brad and I were very is it braggadocious? We were pretty we were pretty sure Indiana was getting into the tournament.
Same.
So
Yeah,
sitting
it was.
here trying to figure out how to have this conversation hasn't been easy. But we could start with Woodson. I want to end with Leal and Galloway, but just the Indiana legacies for those guys. Uh, Woodson first, and then Leal and Gallo. But yeah, I guess you guys go first.
All right, I can go first. Starting with Mike Woodson. Coming from a guy who is a third generation Huey, like I said earlier, I knew who Mike Woodson was well before this hire, well before he coached the Knicks, um, even before he coached the Hawks, right? Like Mike Woodson was such a good player when he was at IU. Uh, you knew about him. When you were 8 years old, people talked about him 30 years later. That's how good Mike Woodson was. Like he was like Trace level stature of good at IU, like 4 years averaging 20 points.
He's on the Mount
That's
Rushmore.
yeah,
Right.
exactly. So that has to be acknowledged, especially now that the coaching gig is over and I can finally give due to a Hoosier, a generational Hoosier, right? The dude played 4 years at IU under Knight, had an extremely successful college career, played 11 in the league, coached 20 or coached 25 in the league, and then came back and coached his alma mater for 4 years. So I like Mike. I think he was a good guy. I think he had his flaws, right? I think there was fit problems, but most importantly, every player that played under him absolutely fucking loves him. Right, absolutely loves him. Those videos of all those kids rounding about him and, really lifting him up when clearly he was going through some shit. It makes me sick to think about the treatment he's gotten over the last 18 to 24 months, truly. Um, there was a way to do it, and our fans didn't do it right, and our athletic department didn't really mitigate some of the shit that I think that they might have been able to with a few statements here, or, just like an opportunity to give some of the crowd back to him for this year specifically. But we were Archie Miller guys, right? Like we were there during that. We saw what dead bullshit basketball looks like. And were there times where Mike Woodson's teams were playing that? Yeah, maybe even often to semi-often. Archie Miller's teams were that. They were that. I was at the Bobby Knight game when he came back and we scored 48 fucking points and lost to Purdue. 48. 48 points. Can you imagine if a Mike Woodson team scored 48 points in a game against Purdue?
It would never happen.
It would never happen, and if it did, they'd probably fucking hang him. Like, it's ridiculous to think that he didn't leave the program in a better place than he found it after producing NBA talent as well, which matters. People wanna look in the league and be like, "Oh, where'd Ware go? Where'd Hood Schifino go? Oh, they all went to IU. Oh, Trace went to IU." Like, that matters. It matters to have NBA guys, no matter from what staff and no matter if they won or not. Where do these kids wanna get to? The NBA. They wanna know, "Oh, shit, Bloomington produces some studs," no matter what, the coach or team. So, I think it's buffoonery, for lack of a better word, to think that, Mike Woodson didn't leave the program in a better place than he found it, and he's an all-time great Hoosier that's contributed 40 plus years to this university, uh, whether it be playing, coaching, or representing us at the highest level of basketball. And yeah, I'm sad to see him go. I wish Mike the best. And yeah, Woody, you're my guy. I hope you listen to this, brother.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. When you were coming off, our college experience was great. 4 years, 4 tournament misses with Archie, and then when you do that, it was the first time in Indiana history that happened, and it happened twice. Basically, they went 5 years without a tournament appearance, combining Crean's last year, and when that happens, half a decade no tournament, you're basically in a very tough spot where you can turn into irrelevance. And Mike was able to turn around 1 year, go to the tournament. Yeah, maybe not what we were expecting. Yeah, playing game, but like like saving us, right? Like we could have missed it again. All of a sudden, that's 6 years, no tournament. Mike wills
Exactly.
us in, and then we're a 4 seed the next year, and his big downfall is obviously his recruiting, his freshman recruiting, high school recruiting. Couldn't do it for a lick. I think that's the NBA. That's the NBA guy, coming in and not really knowing how to do it, not really knowing how to. I don't know. I'm sure his staff was great with the X's and O's and like game planning and stuff like that, but collectively, like the staff just was pretty inept when it came to the freshman recruiting. It seemed like all the top guys they did get, Mbako and Tucker, came in last minute. Seemed like low key kind of like the last guys that did Duke actually want Mbako? Did at the end of the day, did Texas actually want Bryson Tucker at the end of the day? Like these are things that these guys just randomly became available, and you got to kind of ask yourself why. And those are the only guys he got. And I'm not trying to like bash Tucker and Mbako or anything. I'm just trying to he wasn't able to get early commits very often from freshmen, and it was ultimately playing his downfall. Continuity is so important in college basketball, especially these days. And he just never really had it after the first couple of years, and that resulted this team was so talented, and we all knew it, but it took it 4 months for them to start playing like we were expecting them to, and that's where the continuity plays into it. All-time great Hoosier, definitely 100% left it better than they found it. I don't know if they deserve to be in it this year. Definitely on the bubble. When you're on the bubble, tough to complain about it. When you get left out, definitely deserved it more than North Carolina, but who's to say that? I don't know. I don't think they deserved it more than West Virginia, Texas, or Xavier definitively. So I want to leave it that he's just an all-time great. Left it better than found it. I think he saved the Indiana the program, and I hope he stays somewhat involved as he wants to. Really, just being around if he wants
Agreed.
to.
Yeah, I think
Agreed.
you guys both hit the nail on the head. All-time great Hoosier. It hurts me that they weren't able to pull out maybe 1 or 2 more quad 1 wins and kind of force their way into this tournament, because then
So
there
many
would
missed
be.
opportunities on the table.
I know, but there
So
would be
many.
no debate as to where it stands. Like, he did leave the program better than he found it, and yes, he wasn't able to recruit high school freshmen maybe to the level we wanted, but through the portal,
Needed. The level needed.
Level needed for sure. But through the portal, the guy was a monster, and he brought in some of the best portal classes in the country year after year. And I'm glad, Pundit, you specifically kind of talked about what Mike Woodson meant to Hoosiers even before, thinking about coaching the team, and just the farther away we get from the season, from the coaching stint, the more people are going to fondly look back on he was a part of that 76 undefeated team. Like Brad said, he's on the Mount Rushmore of Hoosier basketball players, and then he just he didn't have to come back and coach.
He didn't.
He chose to come back. He chose to step into that fire, and he didn't bring Indiana all the way to where he said he was going to, but 5 straight tournament misses is a death sentence for most programs. And we're sitting here talking about a hire in Darren DeVries, who's has a
hot name.
really high upside.
Yeah.
And it's that's kind of the guy you needed. It's Woodson was never going to be that long-term solution. Woodson was never going to coach 20 years at Indiana, but
he was always the guy to get to the guy.
You could argue you couldn't get DeVries right after Archie, like the DeVries type after Archie. You had to get the guy that can kind of right the ship a little bit, at least hey, we can still win here. It's not going to be sustainable by any means, but we can compete and put up 18 wins every year, which he did.
There were enough glimpses of hope where a competent college coach could talk themselves into having success here. When Archie was here and you're losing to Fort Wayne and Indiana State, and you're again 48 points
by 20.
Bobby Knight
lost Fort Wayne by 20 my first game.
Bobby Knight shows up to the school for the first time in 20 years, and you can't even break 50 points. It's nobody wanted to coach at this program. And then you look at, and for the crowd, and I've hammered this point in pretty much anything I've written for the last couple of weeks, but you can't deny the passion. And while a lot of it recently has been negative passion and has shown a lot of the worst of this fan base, they care. And so when you can, like, there were enough times this year where Mike Woodson rallied the troops enough to where, like, again, you can talk yourself into like this being a place where you can win and win consistently. It just needs to be the right guy, and
Yeah.
if DeVries is the right guy, then Woodson did his job.
Yeah, 100%. Last thing on the basketball related before we get into football, I think. Um,
Well, Gallo and Leal.
Where I go.
oh, true, true. Last thing on Woody. I mean, the dude. Not to correct you, Keys, but he wasn't. He came in after the undefeated team. So,
Mm,
but listen to this. Mike Woodson, his freshman year, played 27 games. He didn't start a single game. He averaged 19 points a game. Okay, so like. And this is back when points did not come as cheap as they do now. Like, this is an all-time Hoosier, and we need to remember that. And I 100% agree that his time at IU is going to age better than people expect. Um, but he got some good kids to come play ball for IU, and I appreciate that a lot, right? I had kids to root for. It was tough to even be able to like connect with the kids under Archie
True.
because he was so like just inanimate and he was so just like reserved and kind of just like a little standoffish like small man syndrome dickhead for like he was, and his players didn't get the chance to really like flourish. And Mike Woodson, though people call him selfish and blah 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 blah, he always put the shine on his guys, right? Like Race Thompson, Trace, Miller, Gallo, Kalel, Malik, like Leal. He's given these guys so much to work with going forward. Like that was the thing during their senior night speeches where they're like, we know that this dude will do anything in life for us. So I want to make it sure, and I know that doesn't count in the win column. I get that, but um, all-time good guy, all-time great Hoosier. I hope he can come back to Bloomington and feel comfortable at some point. And yeah, I mean, what else can you say? Shout out Woody. I'm sorry it didn't work out, but I think it's probably for the
hey,
best of both people, both
beat
parties.
Purdue a bunch too,
Exactly.
and
Beat Purdue, brought Trace from like mid-level, like second team All Big Ten player to like undisputed like potential player, the national player of the year. And I know people want to say, "Oh, that was always going to be Trace's natural progression." It wasn't. Like that wasn't. There was nothing natural about that progression. When Woodson started coaching him, the big man factory rolled. If there's one thing that you could say about the Mike Woodson stint as IU coach, the big man factory was a pumping. It was a pumping because he just went to those guys and he featured big men. And I'm sure we'll see something different, but yeah, shout out Mike, man.
yeah, to
Yeah.
piggyback also to your point of him shining up his guys is he was also a shield to a lot of the negativity as well. Like there were a lot of things I think
He
he
took it.
did that maybe people don't understand were on purpose to where he was taking the brunt of whatever people were feeling. And
I
that's
know.
also something that you can, like, you hear it in, like you said, the way the players speak, it's like they understand that.
They
And
get
those are the little things that, like you said, don't show up in the win column, but like those things matter. And that's why like the guys love playing for him.
Yeah, it's kind of sad that every press conference he knew the little gremlins are going to be after his players in their DMs, so he has to go up on the stand and basically say, "Blame me. I didn't know what the fuck was going on every game." And then you have to go wait till senior day for all the players to have his back and tell him, like, obviously any college coach that coached you for 4 years, 2 years, 1 year, it's gonna have your back for life, like they're all saying. But the fact that these kids had to go up there and like publicly defend him to like prove his worth is just like such a bad way to treat a legend. And I just hope people can lead by maybe our example and just
Yeah.
really appreciate him for
Learn from it.
great. Yeah, like let's like not dwell on the fact that we fucked up and didn't treat this guy right. Let's be better, like as a fan base.
Exactly.
I don't know
And
if it's
that's
gonna be a
and
big
that's
rallying
okay to
cry, but
say. It's okay to say. We're not saying that all fans are bad by any
yeah,
means. And if you feel targeted by that, then you're considering yourself who we're talking to. We're not. We're just talking into the open. And if you get offended by what hits you that we put out into the open, then you are looping yourself in with the people that we're talking to. So if you're a good fan, then you're a good fan, and we're not talking to you. If you're not, and you were part of the circus, then we are talking to you, and we're not condemning. We're just saying, hey, let's learn from this. Legend or not, no coach should be treated like that if we
yeah,
want to win
period.
ball games. No players should be treated like our players were if we want to win ball games.
Yeah,
And then you add
4-star,
in the fact
3-star, 2-star doesn't matter. Doesn't
doesn't
matter how much
matter.
money they're making from NIL.
Also, great point, Goom. It doesn't matter how much money they're making for NIL. Like these people act like they're footing the bill on Balo's like NIL deal, saying that he doesn't care because he's getting paid. And it's like, do I not care about my job because I get paid? I have pride.
Do you
Most
not care
people,
about your job because you're getting paid? Like the people
yeah,
saying it, like they must be
exactly.
losers. Like, oh
They
my
must be
god.
losers. So, I hope we can learn how we treated Mike because I think it will age poorly, just like how we treated Crean at the end of his tenure, where it will age poorly, where things got very dicey and hasty and yeah, I mean, great career to Mike though. He put up with a lot of shit, like Trace's post said. He stood tall. He did. He stood tall. He ate some punches, especially these last few weeks, last few months. And the boys didn't quit on him either. And I thought that was pretty indicative.
No, they fought
So
for him, and that I mean
they
that says a
fought.
lot. That says
They
everything.
played
Mhm.
better ball, objectively better ball after the announcement. And that's not because they were excited for him to leave. I promise that.
That's not it at all. No.
But
They
yeah,
got
we
Tony
can get
crushed.
Leal,
on to
real
Trey.
quick.
Tony.
Tony, I want to do Tony Leal. I want to end with Trey.
I'll start. I mean, what else is there to say? The kid earned every single piece of
Minutes,
pride,
second.
minutes. He earned every single good word ever said about him by a Hoosier fan. And I don't know if many Hoosiers can say that because obviously you praise the guys that were all Americas and won championships and Big Tens and all that stuff. But Tony Leal embodies what you want out of a Hoosier and out of an Indiana ball player. You show up every day. You bring your fucking hard hat, you bring your lunch pail, and you go to work. And that kid did that every single day of his career while being a Bloomington kid. He's never left Bloomington. He's 23 years old. He lives, breathes, and loves that university and that place and has since he was a child. I relate. And, you know, he finally got his due these last 2 years, specifically this year. In tick and in minutes, and it was so cool to see from an eye no matter what was going on the court or in the score column, it was awesome to see Tony Leal become a massive part of this ball club to where the last 10 games of his career, he was the most playable kid on the team. You almost couldn't take him off the court,
Yeah.
He was like,
especially those last
this is a
5.
bad comparison, but he was like Boris Diaw in that one like final series where like he just
Yeah.
couldn't guard him, but he wasn't scoring. Like I don't even know what to do
Yeah,
with this
no,
guy.
like
What
the
do we?
inverse Dion. I get
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
He was. No, and he found ways to impact the program in so many more avenues than just on the court, right? Like he's an example of what you want your kid to grow up to be. He's an example of the kids that we want to come play for our program. He took pride in it. And I hate all like the name on the front shit, right? I think all these kids play for the name on the front. Um, but for Leal, it clearly meant more than anyone else on the team, including Trey and Goody. No knock on them, but Leal, I mean, he waited and waited and waited, and when he got his opportunity, he took it. And I think that's what every sports coach, an athlete will tell you, any one of your old coaches, they say when you get your opportunity, you take it. You might have to wait. That's life. And I'm glad we got that kid because he would have been a dog at Purdue with that kind of patience and work ethic. And obviously he's a Bloomington kid. But I'm just thinking, like
No, I know what
his
you mean. Like,
makeup
yeah,
Yeah.
his makeup is a Purdue player.
and that's a
Patience
compliment. That's
doesn't
not
make
a
and
thing.
yeah,
That's the
that's a
best way
compliment.
possible. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm gonna miss Leal. It felt good knowing that we had a leader like that in the locker room that has a good head on his shoulders and like doesn't get caught up in all the stuff that you can get caught up at IU and yeah, man, I mean, heck of a career. I'm sure he ain't leaving Bloom anytime soon with the business going. That dude's slanging cribs left and right.
Nah,
Be a
he's the
big
best
donor
real
one
estate
day.
agent in the state.
Exactly. So shout out Leal, man. Glad to see him. I think he was a good ball player, and I think that you know he also helped calm the storm last year. He also, like I like that he stood up for Woodson both this year and last year with what he said. And what else can you say about the kid? He's a good fucking dude.
I'll add some stuff because you talk about the on-court and just the ability to display patience and just to be just that example of like bide your time, work, put your head down, work hard, good things happen to you. But to the point you made of like parents being like, this is what we want our kids to be like. You look at what Anthony Leal did off the field, the Leal deal, the real estate business. I think he has like this other
Yeah, new
website.
business, paid off his
Like he
sister's student
like
loans.
he is like went to Indiana and took full advantage of the environment around him, and that's
100%.
what you like. You want well-rounded individuals that understand what they can accomplish by being at in Bloomington, and he took full advantage of all of his opportunities and did it in a way that like you want people to follow. And so it's like that's a person that like maybe history isn't going to remember because he didn't stuff the box scores, and you're not going to like look at a game from the last like 10 of this stretch and maybe if you look at the plus minus you'll be like blown away, but you're not going to look at like his points scored and be like, oh my god, Anthony Leal. But you can't deny how important he was to this team, to the community, to the fans. And yeah, I don't think he should leave Bloomington anytime soon. He's a legend there.
Yeah, I should say some things about Leal. Leal's a guy who
Here's a guy.
I've said my fair share of critiques on Anthony Leal. I have. He's never, looked to score. He didn't, because when he's coming out, he averaged like 36 in Bloomington South. You're like, oh, this dude's a sniper. This guy, Mr. Indiana, like he's gonna be awesome. And then he gets in there and he's very timid to shoot. Doesn't do a whole lot on offense when he was in, and kind of like when he was at first really trying to score, wasn't really scoring, and then kind of got a little timid about it, and really like carved his way throughout time, just being a guy who was there for 5 years, got that COVID year, was able to go to Indiana, his dream school, for 5 years. And it really showed toward the end there where he just really carved it out as a glue. Like he was the best glue guy in the country this year. No doubt. Like when he's almost unbenchable.
Yeah.
With this team, how inept some of these guys were on defense, like he was the glue that literally forced them to be good at defense. Like, because he was just that's all he focused on. He was like, that's what this team needs. They don't need me. I wish he shot the ball more. I think it would have added another dimension to this team. I think it would have been, if he just he could throw up a brick. I don't care. Just look to shoot, be confident, look good doing it, and throw up a brick. I don't care. Just be a threat is like a big philosophy I have in the game. But, he'd go in there and it's just like, he was the best defender in the conference last year. No doubt in my mind. I think he's the best leader on a team, period, that I've ever seen.
Wow.
He's the amount that even when it like early days when he was like a sophomore, junior, and he would come in and he's commanding the huddle, he's telling the guys what to do, and is very little like this is a guy that doesn't play much, and he's the one commanding the huddle, telling them what to do. I imagine in practice he's very, very vocal. One of the best leaders I've been from afar I've seen in my life, which is watching sports, period. And he's gonna this senior class, him, Trey, Ballo, only 3 guys on this team I'd say that gave ball, and Goody, who I assume is coming back, but so I won't throw him in that group. But the 4 seniors were the guys that were balls to the wall all the time, knew what they were doing, gave 100% all the time.
I'd say there's 3 seniors. I'd say Leal, Goody, and Balo were doing that, and then Trey started to do that the last like half of the
Yeah.
season.
Yeah, I would say so. But Trey, okay, let me start
We
with
can
my
talk
Trey.
about. You want to talk about Trey? I want to defend Trey, but you can go ahead. Go ahead.
Trey, when Trey was just a fucking reckless freshman, running out there, throwing jump passes, making things happen
wearing the white
in an
sleeves.
Archie system too. Like he's
The
just going
white
in this
sleeves.
Archie system, just doing the craziest shit on offense. I'm like, this kid is gonna be something special. He's gonna be at IU for 5 years. When he's a 5th year, he's gonna be a legend at IU. I remember saying that my senior year in college, right on my couch, ripping and chop, and just spewing about how Trey Galloway is going to be a legend when he leaves Indiana, and he proved me right. I mean, this kid, when it came to the biggest moments, he showed up. Whether it was dropping 30 at Kansas in a loss, when it was playing one of the best games I've seen him play in that North Carolina home game with that throwdown dunk, or just being also being a great glue guy, can do anything, can get a bunch of rebounds, can get a bunch of assists, can run the offense, can score. Really had a very ever-changing role game to game, not even like season to season, just like had to do different stuff each game, and they would ask him to do it, and he would do it at a very high level for the most part. And he going to go down as one of my all-time favorite Hoosiers, period, point blank.
Wow.
Love watching that guy play. Very, very smart, cerebral. I mean, you can shit on the jump passes, but I swear most of the time it worked. So you really can't, as much as you want to say, don't do that stuff. If he's making plays, I'm all for it. And sometimes you gotta be a little creative in the game. And he's one of my all-time favorite players to watch, just because I just think, I'm not going to say he played the game the right way and stuff like that. I think he didn't really play the game the right. I think it was kind of fun the way he played. He wasn't, this super like.
Yeah, he's got this like herky jerky like float game and like.
Yeah, he has a very like unique game. He can hit an open jumper, can sometimes shoot on the dribble given the day. He can kind of do everything at least above average, and I it's just a great player but never did really anything elite. But great solid player. One of my all-time favorites.
I would argue that. I mean, if you're going to look at Trey's career statistically, I think he's like somewhere up there on the all-time assists list. Like he basically became the de facto point guard of this team halfway through the season, and that was one of the main catalysts as to why they ended up taking off. Also, to the point of maybe he didn't perform up to standard at the beginning of the year. Like, what was his knee surgery like?
Yeah,
100%.
He was at LG's with me on crutches during the summer. Like I wasn't expecting anything. I was expecting him to come off the bench and just be that glue guy, comes in, does everything right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's totally a fair point. And I'll start with the frustrations I've had with Galloway over his 5-year tenure, so that also helps with him climbing up the record books. But you come in, you're getting an Indiana commit from a military academy, Culver Military Academy, that his dad coached. So I'm thinking minimum, we got a great fundamentals guy, right? Just a guy who does the fundamentals right. Couldn't be further from the truth.
Yep,
right?
That's why I like him.
A guy that'll have a good shot and he'll hit free throws. Nope, that's not Galloway's
so
game.
fun. He's so fun.
He is. And listen, had his ups and downs at IU. People forget in that JHS game at Purdue, Galloway was the second best player on the court that day. He hit a few big threes, big steal, kick out, gamer. And
that's the word to describe Trey Galloway.
But he didn't always show up in the biggest and brightest moments. Like there's 3 games this year that I could point to in a row where that dude's missing front ends of 1-and-1s down the stretch. 2 minutes left against Michigan, 3 minutes left against Maryland. And guess what? He made up for it because the last 5 games he balled the fuck out. The last quarter of the Big Ten season, he balled out and he was aggressive. And it looked like a switch flipped in him for me. Even my dad goes, it looks like he's lost 15 pounds. And, I'm not going to say the kid's the hardest worker from what I've heard. I'm not going to say he was the, leader right off the
Nope,
court,
wasn't that either.
but he was fun to watch. He cared, even if he was stupid, like most of these kids are and do. They do care and they are stupid. They're fucking 19, 20 years old. But Gallo, the good parts of Gallo, man, I mean, creative, circus shot, get in the lane, probe, pick and roll with Kalel, lob, pick and roll with Balo, lob, pick and roll with Malik, find Malik on the roll. He gave us some great moments, man, over the years, and I'm so happy to see him go out. I wish he would have gotten a chance in the tournament the way he was playing, and they should have, but so happy to see him go out the way he did, which was hit a massive three on your senior night from 30 out when they're going under the screen on you and to win the game essentially. And he played really good in that Oregon game too. So, shout out to Gallo for a good career at IU. Fun player, Icy Trey, Icy Trey to gang. That's the dude right there. I hope Trey's coming back to bloom. I'm sure he will be. You can't keep
I'm,
that
I'm
beast.
sure.
Can't
I'm
keep
sure he'll
that
be back.
beast out of Royce. You've got to graduate from Pi Phi to Royce now, but yeah, you can't keep him out of Royce. But no, I mean, prototypical Indiana looking kid, not the prototypical Indiana playing kid. So it made it for an interesting ride, but nonetheless, I'm sad to see him go. Lifelong Hoosier, another one. Super cool to, watch his growth too. That's always a cool thing that when you can get to watch someone in this era go from being an 18-year-old kid to essentially being a man. And, I think that's a lost thing in college sports now. And
Watching these
it
kids
was
grow
cool.
up.
Yeah, it was cool to see that with Leal and him. And yeah, I will miss Trey, but I won't. I'd be lying if I said that at some point I wasn't kind of over the Trey Galloway experience.
It's hard because of the era of Indiana basketball that they're going to be associated with. It's filled
Yeah.
with so much animosity that most fans are just going to naturally look back on this time and just not feel much. But that's like Brad and I, like our Hoosier ties aren't as strong as yours. Like we came in during the Archie era. 2017 was our freshman year, so it's like for us, like Trey Galloway, for Hoosiers, we've gotten to see play
Yeah.
as Hoosiers. Like
He's
that
an
guy's on
Doesn't
Mount
get
all-timer.
better than
Rushmore.
Trey Galloway.
Yeah, I get
That's the
that,
best
dude.
guard I've ever watched in a Hoosier uniform.
Yeah.
That stayed
Most fun
for
player
more
I've
than a
ever
year.
seen wear the what?
No,
Like
I can see that. I always try to remember that too when like having these conversations because I feel like those conversations, like the way that the old guys in our fan base talk to me or talk to, some of us sometimes where it's like, you think Yogi's good? Well, you should have seen Isaiah or whatever, whatever bullshit
Yeah.
it is. So yeah, I agree. I mean, in this era of Mike Woodson era, Trey Galloway is one of the most memorable players, right? And there were a few, to be fair, but Gallo, I mean, seriously, ended his career on such a good note.
Most games played in Indiana probably will be an unbreakable record.
Yeah, 100%. Hopefully, it'll be an unbreakable record, unless
Get COVID again.
yeah, exactly. Unless we have a fucking
Pandemic.
influenza pandemic. But no, shout out Gallo. Yeah. Who's next? Or are those the two?
I think those are the two that.
All right,
those are
then
the
real
two.
quick, piggyback. Now, in terms of this news of Malik Renew, I want to give Malik a little soliloquy. All right,
I
the
think he
kid,
deserves it. Yeah.
he deserves it. I liked Malik. Malik took a lot of shit. You never could see it on his face. He was one of the rare cases on these teams who he didn't really seem to be affected by the public. I mean, he was taking flock going into this season because people were like they didn't want him to start or they didn't want him on the team with Balo, and they're taking it out on Malik, who wanted to come back and play for our program. So I want to give a shout out to Malik. I mean, 1,000-point scorer at Indiana in 3 years on two bad teams. That's not easy to do, especially when you're playing with Kalel and Trace and Bala.
And he missed a bunch of games.
Exactly. No, and he did. So I mean, he's got to be one of the younger 1,000-point scorers in terms of games played at IU, and um, I hope if he decides to leave that we understand that like his ties with Mike Woodson were deep. Woodson rode Malik and featured Malik and helped turn Malik into like what we see now, which good or bad, like Woodson had a lot to do with like Malik's ability to operate in the post. And um he's a good kid. He did a lot around the community as well. He always did it with a smile. I know my little cousins were at some meet and greet for IU basketball NIL event, and they said Malik spent 5 minutes talking to them, asking them questions. So,
Awesome.
not to go off personal like reference, but I like kids that embrace that kind of role in the community at IU because it's important. And if it is his last remaining time in Bloomington, I wish him well. I'll be rooting for him and following him wherever he goes. And I think he's deserving of praise for sure over these last 3 years.
100%. One of the most unguardable players I've seen going left in my life. One of the more guardable players going right, but who's to say? What
Exactly.
who's the who's the judge here? Go left more.
That being said,
But,
Malik, come back. Malik, come back. DeVries
yeah,
will teach
I
you the right.
would like Malik to come back. I think he actually fits the Darian DeVries like 5 role very well. Yeah, I would like to see him come back. I think he's a very, very good scorer. It might not fit with maybe what Darian DeVries is envisioning, but I would argue a 6'9" big that can score at will is pretty nice to have on your roster at times, whether or not he's starting. So I'd give him a shot, but I think the kid deserves. I think he could start at the power 4 level. So if you're going to explore your options, and and DeVries is going to bring in Hainsbury, who's his junior big from last year, and to be his like 6'8" center, and that's not really going to fit with Renew. That's what he's going to end up doing. That's what he's going to end up doing, going to the portal or whatever. Want to talk more about his career. Just he was just awesome coming off the bench with that Race and Trace combo, and then you just mix in Renew. It's like this kid, you can't guard this kid. I mean, I got a lot of flack, made a lot of stupid errors, but man, that kid could score, and I'm wishing him the best for his career. So,
yeah, I'm a huge fan of Malik. Obviously, a difference maker, game changer when he's on the floor. To pundits' point, just a smiley kid, good vibes. And again, I think people forget his path to Bloomington too. Was he a Florida commit before?
Florida commit,
head coach
Montverde with Jalen.
Yep.
Yeah, and then late commit to the Woodson special, the late 5-star.
The who's left? Season's over. Who's left? Just Woody, not how we do things, right?
But he repped. He didn't. Yeah. He didn't have the same vibe that Mbako and Tucker have about the program. It really seemed like Malik liked or likes. Yeah, exactly. He liked his time there. He liked being there. He liked representing, which is at some point, that's all you can ask is kids that play hard and kids that really want to be Hoosiers. And, just because someone may not know how to pass out of the double team does not mean that they don't care about being a Hoosier. So, yeah, I just wanted to get that in there. Shout out Malik if it is your last game. If not, happy to see you next year, bud.